Hello, hello. Welcome to the Patreon Hangout. Whoops, for January 2019. Just getting my, oh, it went away. Where'd it go? Just trying to get up my live control room so I can see chat for anybody that's in the chat tonight. Status okay. It's loading. All right, there we go. Well, I'm sad to say that I haven't touched this guy in 2 months. So,
I have the exact same comment about my witch. Last time I scouted was on the last hangout.
Hey, Namri, welcome to the stream. I've got to finish this figure, though. My son's campaign with this particular character is long gone, but he's still excited to get the miniature.
I got the first non-guild ball token commission, so I need to finish the crow and start something else. It's just been so long compared to my other animals and cuties that starting to not be fun working on it.
I hear you. That's definitely the case when something goes on too long. Oh man, we got lots of people in the chat already. Awesome. Welcome to Goblin. Hey man. Oh, and thank you so much, Extreme Studios. The Extreme Studios. When I was in high school, I was in a programming class, and everything that I made in programming, it was the extreme something. So it was like the extreme calendar, or the extreme calculator. I like that. So an SVK, hey, what's up? Long time lurker here at 3 in the morning. Ooh, late night. Yeah, I'm glad you guys finally caught it. That's awesome. Where are you at, Solon? Andy M says hi to Tom and everyone else. All right. Well, apparently I did something right on notifying people, because we usually get about this many, but not so quickly. So that's good. All right. So I'm actually going to break out the green stuff finally on this guy. I'm going to go ahead and get his hands done. And that will allow me to put off figuring out exactly what I want to do for the rest of his costuming elements. And it'll be an important part to have done too, so that's good. Hey, Rayoni. Slovakia, cool. So glad you're getting into sculpting, Solon. I hope I'm saying that right. Yes, I was very much looking forward to this hangout tonight, so I'm glad everybody else is as well, because I really was bummed that I couldn't do the December one, but just got too crazy with everything going on. Holidays did catch up to me. It was not a slow time like I thought it would be at work and whatnot, so. Let's see. Squirrel on the elf's shoulder, the dark elf's shoulder. I'll have to. That's part of the fun of this miniature is my son, the art director. So I have to make sure we do whatever he wants. There we go. If he says okay, then yeah, I'll probably do that. But I'm definitely to the stage where this is just taking so long. I just need to do it, get it done, get it out of my brain. if you leave something sitting for so long, you kind of work it out in your brain that you get sick of actually trying to execute it in the real world. At least that's how it is for me.
I agree.
So yes, I was going to hopefully talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions and stuff tonight, but I'm probably going to be a little closed-lipped on it because that's what my next video that I'm talking about that I'm going to put up.
Oh,
I wanted to have it up already, but I was trying to kind of reformat the look of a couple of things and some certain elements, and just took a little longer than I expected, so put it off, but it should be up by tomorrow, so that's good. Everything's still good to go for you for Adepticon, Antoine?
yes.
Awesome.
All registered, a bunch of classes took, planning demos,
Awesome.
boot time. I arranged how I will have my miniatures available there too.
Ah, great. Great.
I didn't sculpt much in the last month, so I won't have that many miniatures. But still, my unicorn, the puggycorn, the Apple ballerina will be there.
Awesome.
And I got purple resin tint.
Oh, cool.
So purple being one of my favorite color, and it strangely most of my miniatures end up, even if not purple at all, with some purple in them. Lately, I never painted purple really until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But since then, I just like painting it that much, and I decided to cast my stuff in purple now. I just got the tint this morning.
Awesome. That'll be a fun little way to kind of help your pieces stand out too.
Yeah, and they're all cutesy, so I think the pastel color will fit.
Yeah. That's a cool idea.
Might not fit too much for the pirate goblins, but I have some gray too in case.
Let's see. Wow, lots going on in the chat. Let's see.
Have your class filled up?
Not yet, but they have been slowly selling. One only has 2 slots left, and the other 2 have 5. So that's real good. It's well over half, or well, it's over half of all the total seats sold. So that's I'm very, very, very pleased.
That's cool.
And yeah, and I'm not gonna. The video will have something cool in it that kind of shows off a little bit of what's going to be there. So pretty excited. Okay, let's see. Before I lose this, let's see. So I adore your steady hands. I myself am terrified as I am shaky beyond belief, but miniatures are my dream. Yes, you will get better over time. I mean, some people's hands are shakier than others, but you learn little tricks to help brace yourself. So just keep practicing that. And, I mean, even right here, I've got my hand on the table. I've got my other hand resting on my hand, so I'm only barely moving these few fingers.
Is your table higher or your chair low to be able to do that?
This is a weird table, and I don't usually sculpt like this. This table is it's an old drawing table from my college.
Okay.
And I sit on a stool, so I'm actually kind of a little. It's a higher table that's actually sloped.
Okay.
And then I'm sitting higher because it's a stool. Usually, if I'm going to actually sculpt on this table for a longer period of time than the Hangout, I actually have a shorter chair I'll sit on, so my arms are raised up more. Because in this position, I end up hunching over a little too much to be
able to see.
But when I sculpt, I have a high back chair, and I lean back in the chair and just kind of rest my arms against my chest. And it does the same kind of thing.
It just doesn't work with the filming.
Yeah, it's not as good. Well, yeah, I could film the Hangout, and actually, I've thought about it, and maybe I'll try if I get a better setup. I just don't have a lot of places to put things right now. I could do the Hangout that way, but it would be much more difficult for me to see the stream and kind of manage that. So that's why I just do it all on my work table. Okay, let me catch up with these. Let's see. Oh my gosh, there's so many people talking on here. This is great. Will I put a quiver? Yes, I'm going to put a little quiver, a little bolts on this guy. I'm going to sculpt it as a separate piece and then add it. Oh, Namri, congratulations. Having a baby right before Adepticon. The difference between the gray and the green clay. So in this case, the green is actually Kneadetite, 2-part epoxy putty. So it's an actual putty you mix together, and then it'll harden over time. So you have a short working life with it. The gray is actually a polymer clay called Fimo Professional, and that, if I put my finger on it, it'll squish it. It doesn't harden. It stays soft and malleable the whole time until you bake it in the oven. I like to sculpt the majority of my miniature with that material. That Bees Putty is another good one. You know, I did a review for that. And
that's what I'm using right now. That's great too.
That's another great one. So, but you know, for years people have sculpted their entire miniatures out of the 2-part epoxy putty. I was never that comfortable working that way. I like the ability to kind of go back to various parts of the model and adjust them on the fly as needed as I'm working. And you can't really do that with this. You kind of have to sculpt a part and then do the next part and the next part. But I still do it a lot for my hands, just because you can make it so thin, and plus it actually helps stabilize the grip of the miniature on equipment like this. If it's a hand roll by itself, I'll do it out of clay a lot of times, but when it's gripping something, I'll usually just do it out of a putty real quick. Actually, speaking of which, Andrew, really cool guy, sought me out on Facebook. He had some excess Bees Putty. Andrew Morley. This is quadruple firm, so I'm very excited to give this a try. And it's the Proto Green, so it's I guess
the Graphigot
Stefan
green
does. Yeah, I think he when he does maybe some of his early batches, it's this color. Because I feel like this is available in gray as well, but this particular batch is green. So I'm actually kind of excited about that, because I actually sculpted a miniature in green putty before, and it was kind of fun because it brought back a lot of memories of, like, the good memories of sculpting in green stuff. And so you've got a miniature that looks like a traditional green, but it's actually all polymer clay, so you can rework it, adjust it. So I'm very excited to do the next review of that, sculpt another miniature with that. Maybe a little more. So yeah, this gray stuff right here is Fimo that I'm sculpting with, but what Antoine is sculpting with is his gray material is Bees Putty. Yeah, the green stuff's technical name is Kneadetite. That's the, but nobody calls it that. And if you search green stuff, I believe you will very easily find Kneadetite. They know that's what people call it, so they've got the right, meta tags and stuff.
Optimization.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I have to mix up another batch. This is getting there's a little bit of stickiness. Okay, what is the context, by the way? I always wondered what is the inspiration or use for those fantasy sculpts you do. Well, for me, this particular one is just, I told all my children that I would sculpt them something. For me, it kind of goes back to wanting to tell stories when I would want to do comics and things like that. But you know, I kind of grew into more of a gamer and followed that hobby a lot more. And it was neat to be able to kind of have these characters that could tell a story and everything, but they were unique one-off sculpts, a physical thing you could hold. It's actually probably one of the reasons that I have a little bit of trouble continuing a long series of things, because you know I'll do something and I'll be okay, I kind of told that, I made that, and it's out there now, and I'm kind of feeling the itch to explore something else. And that's really the genesis of why I did the Little Knife and Cronin miniatures. I just had these fun ideas for fantasy characters that I had created, you know, a long time ago, and they've just been with me, and so I finally did it. All right. Do I paint my own minis? Have I ever painted any of my own miniatures? I'm trying to think. I really think the answer is basically no. I don't usually do it. The only miniatures I can think of off the top of my head that I've actually ever painted were, I painted some of my Mercs Yellow Jackets CCC guys.
Yes.
But that was because we had to have them for demos at a demo table. I always wanted to paint them up, you know, really nice and fancy. But I have a couple that I've pulled out and set aside that I really like and plan on doing, but I've never done it. I actually had a bunch of my goblins ready to go, but I still haven't even painted those. I talked about this before. I can't remember in what video, but I postulated to myself that I think one of the reasons is I'm a huge fan of miniatures, so obviously there's lots of miniatures out there to paint, and I like other people's work a lot, and so when it comes to sculpting the miniature, I spend all this time sculpting it that by the time it's, you know, cast and everything, I've kind of feel like I poured all the creativity into it I want to, and you know, by that time, you know, I'm either sculpting a new miniature or I've got some cool figures that another great sculptor made that I want to paint. But I actually have been painting some figures finally. And I actually started this before they announced all the new Night Goblins, so this will work out really well.
Oh.
But I'm pretty excited about these guys. And I've been trying to purposely, it's not the simplest paint scheme. I mean, like as far as the process that I'm using to paint these, but it is pretty quick and fast compared to what I usually try and do. So, which is good for goblins because, you know, you have to have a lot of them. So I've done 6 of those so far, but obviously a lot more to go. Okay, let me scroll up. We're getting lots of questions. Holy crap. Okay. Let's see. Hey, Tom. Yeah, I answered paint your own miniatures. It's minus 32 for Namri. We were 10 all day. I don't know what the wind chill was. It was pretty cold. It actually, something weird happened in my car. I think something in the fuel pump or in some sort of traveling with the fuel actually froze. I thought my battery died, but I got a new battery and my car still wouldn't turn on. I had to basically rev the engine to let the whole thing warm up, and then it would finally idle at a normal pace. So that was a fun, exciting adventure. All right, here's a question from Spearman 247. Hey Tom, got any tips for smoothing green stuff into green stuff that is already set up? I keep getting creases and bumps that show up when I paint minis. That is a great, you know, I should do a specific video on just that. I'm trying to think, see if I have. All right, let me finish. Let me pound out these hands really fast, and then I will grab a green stuff miniature and I'll I'll try and give a quick little demo on, you know, ways that you can help blend green stuff into green stuff better. Because it is, I remember that challenge very, very clearly from my early days, and thinking, man, how do you do it? And I think it'll be easier to talk about it by doing it. Because now, you know, you just, when you've done it for so long, you just kind of do what you need to do and don't think about it as much. So we'll get back to that one. All right, let's see. The difference between Fimo and polymer clay. Fimo is polymer clay. It's a polymer clay is a bunch of type of materials. So there's Super Sculpty, there's Fimo, there's Bees Putty, and there's probably many more than that. That's just the ones you typically see in the U.S. I know that there's one called Cernit. There's another one I can't think of that I've actually seen at the hobby store. But the main point of it is it's a plastic chemical based clay that you know, acts like you would expect any, you know, traditional clay to do, except you don't have to cook it in a kiln. You can just bake it in your oven and it will harden. Which is really cool. Come on. All right. Oh, thanks, Extreme. I do need to get them painted up. It'd be so fun to see them all painted. Okay. Almost ready to sculpt the fingers in here. Man, it is funny, like when I step away from sculpting, the one thing that actually is the hardest to kind of get back into the hang of, I haven't done in a while, is working with putty. I can always get back in the swing of polyclay really easily, but it just behaves so much differently. All right. So do you have any New Year's resolutions or goals for the year, Antoine?
Yeah. I want my last year goal was to sculpt a miniature or at least a piece every month to give me a practice and more finished projects. I almost made it, but in the last 3 months I did a huge surge of painting and my sculpting paid for it.
Yeah.
So that didn't help. That didn't work. So sculpting time went really down. So I didn't finish it. So I have about the same goal this year. It's not starting well. I'm painting my. I'm sculpting for the first time. Well, other than filling gaps and stuff like that, on the 30th of the month. So.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm right there with you, buddy. And that's my goal too. Although, okay, I take it back. I technically have been doing a little better than that because, but don't tell anybody. I've been sculpting in ZBrush, so.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been publicizing that as much, but.
Yeah. So
technically, I've done my sculpt for the month, but.
There's at least that. Yeah. Some progress. So. Seems to be a bit of a secret, so I won't ask questions.
No, I'm joking. And actually, okay. I should say, I need to plug it. It was for, I've actually done several, but they're kind of smaller, so I kind of not counting them as individuals.
It's not your goblins?
It is not my goblins. I actually, I was working on it. I actually, I did that test print and I actually have made my adjustments and everything, but I kind of felt like I needed to step back a little bit and work on something else before I dove into that. Just because, I don't know, I just wanted to step back and use the program a little more and do something different than something that I was being so particular about and everything. So anyways, but I almost said the wrong company. RBJ Games Company. They commissioned me to make these hairball miniatures several years ago, and they're doing a cool Hairball of the Month club now, where it's a special themed hairball. These are they're one of my favorite miniatures I've ever sculpted, because I got to. They told me what they wanted, and they had something that was inspired by it, but the kind of cute factor and style, that was like I got to design that completely, so it was a lot of fun. And we're doing themed ones for every month of the year.
Did you share some of your work on Instagram, maybe?
I think I probably did. I know Ben has from RBJ has been posting it around, and I might have posted.
I think I saw something about that.
So I think the January one, I think it's about to be over. So if anybody wants that one, they can try and get it now. But then the Valentine's Day one is coming up very soon. That was really cool. I'm most excited about the so far. I have more to do. I had a lot of fun doing the St. Patrick's Day one. I like that one a lot. That's great. Good goal.
Yeah. Apart from the sculpting, the other thing is I'm mostly set up to cast now, so I want to get some real good molds and see if my casting works, and if it works, get my miniature more easily available.
Awesome.
It's not like I have a big line, but still.
It's so cool. You get to cast your own. I wanted to say back to something you said earlier about painting taking over. Man, that's always been the biggest thing for me in this, as I've sculpted and everything. It's been the other way around though. I always wanted to paint, but I always ended up only sculpting, because except for the time when I was able to do it full time, because then you have time to do it because you're being paid to do only that. But otherwise, they really occupy the same hobby time space.
Oh yes,
it's kind of hard to do both unless you're not doing a lot of other things. Oops, get back on the screen.
Yeah, it's rough to fit both and keep it balanced mostly. That's what I will either just sculpt for months, don't paint anything, but then I have a game project or anything that comes up, and then I jump into painting, and I don't do any sculpting except on the last Wednesday of the month. Goes back and forth between those. I've not been able to have a really good balance. So that might be my resolution this year. Get a better painting to sculpting balance. Have you finished your Necromunda game?
Oh yes, I actually finished that a long time ago.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were done.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I think I did post it, but man, I'm so bad about posting social media. I'll have it with me at Adepticon, so you can see it in person.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, yeah. My plan, my kind of immediate, not necessarily big goals, but like plans of what kind of needs to happen. I'm gonna
Saga Warband probably.
yeah, yes, exactly. So I'm gonna kind of sculpt my butt off for what's left of this month in February. Hopefully get done everything I need to get done, and then I want to take all of March. Well, I don't want to take the whole thing if I can be fast enough, but basically when March 1st hits, I'm gonna stop sculpting and just paint my Saga Warband. And it probably won't be pretty. It'll probably just be get it to the tabletop, but I've got to get it done. I did finish 4. I finished, like, painted them up, nicely, to a standard that I'm trying to make them look nice. But I think
that's 4 models, not 4 points.
4, correct. 4 models. It's just the Hearthguard. So I've got 3 more units of those and 2 warriors. So not the biggest army, but still quite a few miniatures.
Yeah, but it helps that you're not filled with levies and you don't have that many. 3 Art Guards unit also helps. So.
Yeah, I'll get some levies eventually, but I was like, I need to make this as quick and easy to paint as possible. Plus, ever since I my first kind of armies were Space Marines and then Dwarves and Warhammer, so I'm kind of used to my army being few in number, but tough.
Elites and tough.
Yeah. So I've actually found over time that I actually am not very good at playing those kind of armies, but that's what I always play. Okay, let me see if I can find this miniature that I can demo on. Yes, I think it's in here.
Are your goblins for Age of Sigmar, or are they for Saga Age of Magic when it comes up?
Well, oh my gosh, they're definitely for Saga Age of Magic now. But before that, they're for my son and I were playing Dragon Rampant.
Oh yeah.
I really like that. So and then I figured, if I ever did an old hammer thing or something, I'd have the goblins ready. So what was I saying? Yeah, but seeing those new night goblins, I plan on getting some of those sets, and I told my buddies, yeah, I'll play H Sigmar. That'll be fun.
The new squigs are amazing.
Yeah, my buddy just sent me a picture. He used to play I call them Sky Dwarves, Caradron, whatever,
Caradron Overlord or something like that.
Guys. And he put a picture up of like some ironclad sky ship, amazing thing, and it has like a save of 5+ next to the new Squig Riders save of 4+. He's like, how does this make sense? But all right, yeah. So I'll be doing that for sure. But in my mind, they'll still be fighting in the old Warhammer world.
Oh yeah. You get the squared base, so right there it's still right. Something.
That's right. I'll probably do. I have a big stockpile of square bases, so I might put the squigs on that. But the squigs kind of seem like they make sense to be in round, because they're kind of look like they'd be more skirmishing anyways. So. And that's what's kind of cool about at least Dragon Rampant is and I guess Saga's the same way. You don't have to have them ranked up, but if you want to have, put them in kind of rank, you could do that. You can kind of lay them out however you want. But man, yeah, I really hope Saga Age of Magic is at Adepticon. I don't know if it will be, but
yeah, they have not announced any dates yet.
Yeah,
so I fear it's gonna be just at Salute, like the week after or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
They might do both at the same during the same month, but who knows?
Okay, I'm trying to let's look at some comments. Let's see what I missed here. Oh yeah, they're talking about Bees Putty. Yeah. Stefan's channel is awesome. I really like his work. He's been doing a lot of really cool busts or heads. He just kind of sketches up and then they just come together. They're so cool. Okay.
He also sculpts like the Bob Burger stuff with his already colored
oh yeah,
putty. So you don't have to paint it, and he sculpt with the colored putty.
That's cool.
That's impressive.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Someone's first saw Warhammer. That's the first time we saw fantasy miniatures. Yes. Me too. Warhammer and Warhammer 40K. Here, Tom Mason. Last comment on your last video. Can't usually chat links. Oh, yes. I know that I have several comments in the videos, and I do plan on getting back to them. I've been doing some other things in the mornings when I normally would be responding, so I haven't been as regular. But I do always get to them. And actually, I'm thinking about, because I'm starting to get enough questions, I might just start doing question answer videos where I just go through the comments and deal with them that way, which could be fun too, because I might be able to show answers. But okay, so here we go. I'm going to try and show you this. So here's a figure. I've had this one for years. I need to finish it just to have a rough idea for what he is, but it's going to be kind of big brute guy. But anyways, he's got a lot of rough pieces on him right now, just for general bulk ups. I was using him as what people call a putty catcher, because a lot of times when you'd be working with green stuff, you might mix a big ball, but only use a little bit, and then people don't want to waste it, so they stick it on something. So every now and then I'd make one. And that's what this guy kind of was. So, but as you can see on here, I'm not really having a concern about blending, but that's we're going to be concerned about it now. So the number one thing I'll tell you about blending, and you can't always control this because some of it depends on what you're sculpting. Might not be able to get to this point, but the first thing you do is try and get it on there right away when it's first been mixed up, because that's when the putty is the most malleable and you can move it around and manipulate it easiest. And a lot of times, especially these days, people like to use clay shapers or color shapers on putty. Oops, and I do too. But I usually actually save this more for the like a fine-tuning sculpting stage and kind of burnishing. So I have my fingerprint on there. Let's see if we can see that. I had a fingerprint on there, and this is great for just kind of slowly working that off. But when it comes to the initial kind of getting it on there and blending it in, I actually prefer a metal tool, and because it's a little more forceful, and because the clay shaper is silicone, it doesn't stick to the putty as much, and you actually want just a little bit of stick because it helps you pull and drag it. So what I do is I just slowly work it down around the edges. I'm giving it a pretty light touch. And once it starts getting a little thinner, if it starts pulling a little too much, then I'll start to add a little lubrication with some petroleum jelly, or getting a little grease from your nose, or even licking your tool. And there, once you get it mostly thinned down there to where you're kind of getting and seeing that just little, oh man, come on, focus. There's like a little line. That's when you really have to start worrying about the lubrication and just slowly burnishing it down. But you're always kind of pulling out and away, because you need it. The only way to kind of get it to blend in hard, soft material on this hard is to thin it out. That's the only way. If you have any thickness at that edge there, that's where you see the line. Now here's actually one big tip. So I did that all with a tool. And sometimes this will be the last step. Is I just lick my finger and I just kind of press it down. And this is nice because it's like a giant clay shaper, and that kind of pulls, presses, and thins it down quite a bit. Obviously, you don't want to do that when you're getting any detail on, but. And so I'm not sure if you can see that, but there was a little bit of excess here a second ago that built up when I stretched it, and it actually just kind of broke off and flaked off right there. It's kind of stuck to the material now, but so that's I mean, I know it's not as simple as it looks, because I'm sure you've tried this very thing, and there still is just a little seam there. But the key is, once you get it really thin, is to just keep gently burnishing it, and you'll have to use a little bit of lubrication, because if you don't have any lubrication, it's going to pull too much and start to tear. So you've got to have a little bit, but if you have too much, then it's not going to kind of pull it down. It'll just squish things around. And then, yeah, that usually is all it takes to really do that. Sometimes if I get a little bit of a seam and I'm seeing it, I will go over it with my X-Acto blade or my scalpel after it's all cured, and then I'll scrape it. But you do have to be careful when you do this too, because that can actually chew up the thin layer, and you can actually get, instead of a nice straight line, you'll get kind of a jagged thing. But I don't know. I don't worry about it as much. I guess it can be glaring depending on where the line is, but I think sometimes as sculptors we're so zoomed in on it, zeroed in, we see it more than anybody else would, and sometimes it doesn't stand out as much as you think it will. So there you go. Again, I had just a little bit of lubrication on it so it wouldn't stick and tear too much. Pull it out. It's starting to get it pretty thin. One last thing that can help you if you're using putty like this, the green stuff, is you can put a little more yellow in it. I think that's usually how I sculpt my green stuff. I don't quite do 50-50. I do a little more yellow, sometimes a lot more yellow, but having more yellow in it makes it a little less gummy, and it allows you to, at least for me, it seems like it spreads thinner easier. All right, I blattered on quite a lot, so hopefully that helped. Yep, grease from my nose. But petroleum jelly works great. Oh, I don't see where I put it. I actually have a nice little, it's like a little case of hard Vaseline that I got from Green Stuff World. Not sure what it is exactly. It seems a little harder than petroleum jelly, but it kind of gives you the same amount of lubrication for your tool. It's nice if you don't want to use your own oils. All right. Bottom of my nose grease. I don't know about that. Okay, let's see. Is this one of my armatures? Yes, this is actually this is one of my armatures, Andy, but this is not one of my armatures that is up for sale. I made these are brute armatures. So these guys, I think they're meant to be like 38 millimeters tall if they were standing up straight, and they've got really wide shoulders and a little bit longer arms and stuff. So just goes back to the project that I was working on a long time ago, where I wanted to have these big brutish characters along with regular people, and I was like, I need to make sure that these guys are always going to be the same, so I'm going to make an armature. And this is the first and only one I've ever sculpted with it. And haven't finished it still. So, but this character would be great in the Little Knife and Cronin world, so I probably will finish him someday. I just need to make it a priority. So, all right, back to this. Let's see. Is there a tip for making a complete sculpt using only one Fimo clay? For me, that is the option, unfortunately. Oh, so the trick with Fimo at least the way I use it, is that you really need something underneath to stick it to get to stay on the wire with miniatures. And that's why I put a layer of green stuff down first and then immediately apply Fimo, and that fuses it together. The sticky putty stays on the wire, and then the not as sticky Fimo will stick to the putty. So I'm not sure there. I mean, I know, and maybe if you can try to get a hold of Bees Putty, because I know Bees Putty, and that's why I'm going to try and test to verify it for myself. But what I've seen and what I've heard is that you can skin Bees Putty on the wire armature, bake it, and then Bees Putty sticks to itself pretty well. Fimo doesn't really do that, and it has problems sticking to wire because it's just not as sticky. So that might be a better option if you can't get green stuff.
Also, Stefan from Bees Buddy recommend making kind of a sludge mixture with isopropanol, alcohol, and Bees Buddy, and you use that and put it on your armature, and after that the Bees Buddy should stick to it.
Oh, I see Rayoni saying the exact same thing. All right, well, I'll definitely have to try that, because I was just going to stick it on dry, but I might still try and stick it on dry just to see how well it works, because I'm sure people will ask. But
that didn't work so well.
It didn't for you? Okay. Well, then
might depends on the metal you use for your armature and how oily it is.
Gotcha. Well, I'll definitely keep the alcohol nearby. Let's see. Yes, so, and I don't know if you can get any other epoxy putties besides green stuff Kneadatite, but you could use a different one if you can't get that specific one.
And there's an epoxy sculpt.
Yep, that would work.
Isn't that what Trey used, or part of what he used?
He mixes it with green stuff. I don't think he's ever sculpted with it straight. Okay. Actually, that might be worth trying. The problem with that, my only problem with it, is it's so soft and thin. I mean, it gets very thin very easily, but in some ways,
I use it for terrain.
Yeah, I've used it for bulking up by itself.
Bigger pieces.
Mm-hmm. But it could, in theory, work. All right, Rayoni says the Bees Putty dry directly on the wire doesn't stick so well unless you sand it a little. Okay. Yeah, you could try the dollar store plumbing putty. It's all the key if you're gonna stick Fimo to your wire armature and using the 2-part epoxy putty, whatever putty you're using, it needs to be able to be made thin enough. I mean, assuming you're making this size figure. If you're doing bigger, it's not as big a deal, but it needs to be able to be thin enough to not overly bulk your miniature when you add the Fimo on. So I know some of that stuff, some of the plumber's putties are pretty bulky. But I have to believe there's something in the whole world, because it is basically just a plumber's putty. So you would think there'd be some equivalent, if not maybe as good for sculpting, just for using as the base to stick it to out there. All right, those things look pretty good. Maybe a little smaller than I usually do, but that'll be all right. Yeah, Procreate, I like that a lot. It's a good putty. It seems like it's where do you get it from, Andy? I was looking not too long ago, and it seemed like it was a little more challenging to find than it used to be. Oh man, I gotta get a new headset. I lost one of the ear cushions on it. It's hurting my ear. Okay. I don't need to keep fiddling with those. Mixed up a fresh batch of Fimo finally. It's so funny how you get used to working with an old batch and you just keep working it and you're like fighting it, and then I'm like, why is this not working very well? And then I'm like, oh, it's super old and dry. And then mix up a new one and it's great. My son said I need to make the guy's hair longer. So I gotta make the guy's hair longer now.
Is your schedule full for Adepticon?
Not entirely full. I am playing one game officially. It's a little looks like a homebrew game of Gundam battles.
Okay.
Which I've seen some like it before and always thought it looked really cool. I don't know if this one. I mean, this one sounded cool too, but I don't know if it was this one or a different one. And then I'm taking a painting class from Mike Cousins of Epic Duck Studios, which I should plug that because I think he has a couple spaces left too. He's doing a man. It's been too long. I don't know. I thought that I talked about some of this stuff, but I don't think I did. He's doing class on comic book style painting.
Yes.
Kind of like cel shaded. So, and actually, he's using my miniatures for the class. So that's exciting. But I was excited to try that. I like the look of it, and it'd be neat learning from Mike. He's a really good painter. I'm mostly excited about it, if not even just because it'll be cool to learn that style, but the idea of a style that looks so neat and good, but has nothing to do with blending.
Yes.
Because for a long time, like I got that in my head that I have to be blending, and I'm like, no, and you really don't. Like you can make your miniatures look really good with just a couple well placed and right colored layers and stuff. So, and I'm hoping that seeing this is kind of like the epitome of it. This will really bring it home for me. Okay, let's see if any more questions. And you get yours from El Greco Minis, a company in the UK. Okay. Oh, okay, that's good. Green Stuff World sells Procreate. That's cool. I think Patrick Keefe still sells Procreate. No, he sells Bees Putty. But he only has the triple firm. Otherwise, if he had the quadruple firm, I would have got that from him because I was hoping to try it. But now I can because thanks to Andrew for sending me the quadruple firm. Oh, it feels so much better to be sculpting with polyclay than the green stuff. Use that a little bit. I think I actually I didn't mix enough yellow on my green stuff. I really like, plus it's really cold here, pretty cold here right now. And it's always a little bit different sculpting with putty in the cold. It's stiffer, a lot stiffer until you kind of work it out.
I'm just throwing the idea there, but maybe doing a sculpting hangout at Anapticon could be cool with other sculptors there. Just
Yes.
a small chat session between people who like doing that stuff.
It's a really good idea. Like, just you thinking maybe we try and record it like this, or just in a different way, or just hang out together?
Yeah, maybe just hang out together. I don't know how. Yeah.
We should definitely do that.
The podcast you recorded on Skirmish Supremacy with the other sculptors was super interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know in a live session how that would come out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think they edited it though.
They don't edit much. That's true.
No, that's a great idea. We definitely should.
But I'm not plugged, and I don't know really anybody, so it would be hard pressed to start pushing people to do that. But
I'll try and get myself out there and asking, because I know we'll have several there. Sean and me, Bill Thornhill, and I think there's going to be some more. So yourself, obviously. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. All right, what's going on in the chat here? I have 100 videos to show them how to use it. Oh, I see. I don't see which one he's talking about. Are you talking about green stuff, not wanting to waste your money on it if you don't know how to use it? Saw one. I missed that in the chat. They're figuring it out. All right, almost time to wrap it up. I'm going to get this hair on there first. Oh, drat. Oh, there it is. Oh, where did it all go? All right. Oops. Being really quiet towards the end, so I'm just trying to make sure I get this right. But I guess it's not that big a deal because I can always fix it later because it's Fimo. The biggest thing about this miniature that it's hitting me, and because I normally don't work this way, is designing on the miniature. I just can't stand doing that. It's very challenging for me. I usually have some sort of concept sketch or reference, and this thing I just generally know what he's supposed to look like, and I'm just kind of doing it. But I don't like working that way. I'll have to look into this hair. I don't know if it's working, but we'll see what my son thinks. If he likes it, that'll be what it'll be. Okay, I'm about to wrap up the stream here, so if anybody has any last minute questions or things they want to talk about, feel free to pop it in there and I'll try and answer them real quick. That's not so bad. Okay. All right, thanks for joining, Solwyn, I mean, yeah, I can't pronounce that. Excited to have you here and glad it was helpful. This last Wednesday of every month. Very, very rarely do we miss that. Yeah, this is a really exciting one. I'm so glad to have so many people here. Thanks everybody for kind of answering and helping out in the chat too. It's hard for me to see all the questions sometimes especially when I'm engrossed in my sculpt. So I really appreciated that. All right. Should probably call that done for now. So we'll focus. It won't. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight, and I hope to see you on the next one. Have a good one.